Okay, I'm going to start this particular section based upon two automatic things on the guitar. The first is going to be the diminished form, and there are different string groups for this form. The first group that we're going to talk about is the 4-3-2-1 group, which is the fourth string, the D string. The G string is the third, the B string is the second, and the E string is the first. It looks like this. There, amongst other things on the guitar, such as dominant seventh chords, a C7, for instance, its four inversions automatically look like this. The first being here, the second being here, the third being here, and the fourth being here. They're all on the 4-3-2-1 group, but they're not automatic, as you can see, primarily because the fingers forming these chords are in two different types. Two are full use of four fingers. This one here, the C7th here, and the C7th in the fourth inversion here. And there are also two bar groups, automatic, not using all four fingers. First there, and in the third position being the second. These are coming from the diminished form, which is totally automatic, which is a great difference between all of the other chords on the guitar, with one difference being in the augmented form. The diminished looks like this. So it's totally automatic. One of the few things on the guitar that you really don't have to learn per se four different fingerings in your study of the instrument. But one thing does take place in the diminished form that is extremely rewarding, and that is that once this form is played and its four inversions are captured, then it begins to unravel quite a number of children. I would normally refer to these as children. It's a parental form. By doing the following, these shall begin to appear. This particular chord, the E diminished, named because of its position on the fourth string, the second fret, that would be E. So we're going to call it, for the moment, an E diminished. By lowering the E to an E flat, it automatically becomes the root of a dominant seventh chord, in this case, E flat seventh. Back to the E diminished. That is the first inversion. Automatically, the second inversion would participate in this area of the guitar. This time, the E natural is on the second string as opposed to the first inversion, which was on the fourth string. Here's your E natural. By lowering the E to E flat, you automatically have an E flat seventh. Back to the diminished chord itself. The third position for the inversion of that chord would be located here. Now the E, as a singular tone in that stack of four notes, is located on the third string. By lowering that particular tone one half step, it becomes an E flat. And here you have the third inversion of E flat seventh. Back to the diminished. Raise that up to the next inversion. Now the E is on the first string. Lowering that one half step brings it to an E flat on the first string, and your fourth inversion is here. Therefore, from the beginning, we have E flat seventh, first position, full four fingers. The second position of the E flat seventh is again four fingers. The third inversion is the first bar form of E flat seventh, the third position, and the fourth position is the second bar form, E flat seventh, here. Now we have these forms to control. The reason I bring it up in this particular way is so that it isn't necessary to memorize, study by study, all of these different forms. They automatically unravel themselves. And this will continue, and I think you'll see more and more of this as we go along. I took and began that with the fourth string, the lowest of the four-string group being 4, 3, 2, 1 from the E diminished. Now if we go to the third string, being the basic source of motion from the lowest part of the guitar to the higher part, we'll take it from B flat in that chord, that what we did call an E diminished is now a B flat diminished. By lowering the B flat to an A, we now have an A7. So, first position is here. Same kind of a bar chord that was in the two of the first group. A7 first position. Second position for the diminished chord, B flat diminished. B flat to A becomes A7 in this condition. Second position. Third position, the diminished chord one more time being hereabout. By lowering the B flat to an A, automatically we have an A7th again, which is the third position of A7th. Back to the next diminished chord, which is the final one in the four inversions, being here. Now the B flat is on the second string, lowered to an A, becomes an A7th in this area. So now we have these four inversions automatically. That's two of the four strings being used. The first was E diminished, the second was B flat diminished. The third will be C sharp diminished or D flat diminished. Now we're starting with C sharp or D flat, however you would like to see that, with those particular tones. By lowering that C sharp to a C natural on the second string, we have a C7th in its first position. Back to the diminished chord. Its second inversion. The C sharp now is on the third string. We now have a bar formation of the second inversion of C7th. Back to the diminished. Next inversion, third position. The C sharp is now on the first string. By lowering the C sharp to C natural, now we have C7th in this bar form. Its third position. And the final one, fourth position of it, is C sharp on the fourth string, lowering it to C natural. Here you have your C7th of four inversions played this way. Automatic. Back to the first diminished chord. It has been known as E diminished, B flat diminished, C sharp diminished, and finally the first string calls it G diminished. By lowering that G on the first string 1/2 step down, it becomes the root of this particular dominant seventh chord, G flat. Your first inversion automatically. Its second inversion has the G, the root of that diminished term, on the fourth string. By lowering that 1/2 step, we now have the second inversion of that G flat seventh. Back into its diminished parental form. Automatically moving up the fingerboard, a minor third, 3 frets higher, we now have the G on the second string of the four-string group. So here we have G7th, or G diminished, to a G flat seventh in its third position on a 4, 3, 2, 1 group. The final position, the fourth position, places the G on the third string. By lowering it 1/2 step, it becomes G flat seventh, once again automatic in the fourth position. Now we have this series of inversions. First position, second position, third position, fourth position. Now let's consider this. If we take this diminished cluster, this parental form, and we already know from our discussion so far that there are 4 dominant seventh forms that come from this chord, which is 4-dimensional in a sense. It has 4 identities. So here now, if there are 4 dominant seventh chords in this group, are also 4 dominant 7th chords in this group, and 4 more in this group stacked vertically. Now we have 12 keys of these dominant 7th forms in this singular collection of strings, so that on the 4-3-2-1 group of the diminished chord, before we get to its second inversion automatically, we have this many chords. 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, and then we have the first mirror image of the 4 groups in its second position automatically, which begin here.